Well, hey everyone, it's Jeff and welcome back to the channel. Now, as you guys might have seen my last video, I had a lot of fun on my Father's Day with my son, filming and playing with these cars. This is the Hobbyking Rattler and this is the Hobbyking Desert Fox. So I did a comparison, so if you haven't seen that video yet, you can click to the link right up over here and you'll see my preference between these two vehicles. I actually like the Desert Fox just a little bit better than the Rattler. My son likes the Rattler a little bit more than the Desert Fox, but they're very similar in cost and also repairs and all that stuff. And talking about repairs, we're going to do some repairs today. I broke the front left A-arm of each of these vehicles, both one right after the another, and I actually think I hit the same rock. There's just a big, like a 10-pound rock sitting out there with a big edge on it. Full speed, just hit the arm and broke it straight off. And that's what these arms are designed to do. They're made to break at a certain point. So let me just mention, if you are going to buy these cars, I would recommend highly to go ahead and get some A-arms while you're at it, and possibly even some dog bones, because the dog bones tend to bend if you're running 3S, or even if you just have a hard hit, or if you just take a weird suspension bounce at the wrong time, it can bend these dog bones. So I have the racing part here from Hobbyking. This is the one that's for the Rattler. And what's cool about this one, it can be either right or left, a front or a back, which is really nice. I have previously broken an arm here on the Desert Fox, so that's why I was thinking about doing it today again. And this one can be right or left, and I believe this can be front or back as well, although I'm looking right now, and the back one is just slightly different than the front. So luckily I broke the front and not the back, and we are good to go here. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, in addition to breaking this A-arm here, I also bent the shock shaft, so I must have hit that rock really hard. Okay, one of the things to do when you do crash is to make sure that you collect all the parts. Now, this dog bone was laying about 10 feet away from where the car actually ended up, so I didn't recognize that right at the beginning, and I picked this up just a few feet away from where the car was. So let me go ahead and start taking this thing apart. I'll go ahead and concentrate on the Rattler here first, and I do have my handy dandy drill here, which is going to help us out. This has a 2mm bit on it. And I'm going to keep all the parts for the Rattler here on this side of the mat, and we will put all the parts for the Desert Fox on the other side of the mat. So I'm just going to pull this shock off. As you can see, that shock shaft is way bent. I do have a hammer and a anvil that I can actually straighten this out, possibly. Well, actually on my vice grip. So I'm going to set this aside. Let's go ahead and take off the wheel here. This is a size 7mm, which is standard for most 110 scale cars. The Rattler has 12mm hexes, which is not standard for a 1/8 scale buggy here. So we are going to take off these two guys right here. Well, this is actually a 5mm, so what we're going to do is pull off both of these end caps here. These end caps hold the steering knuckle on very tightly. There we go, and end cap number 2. Let's pull this guy off after we remove this guy here, which is, okay, this is a 3mm, and that's going to just pull off these pillow balls from the end of the A-arms here. Okay, so we just need to remember that this is the lower and that is the upper. These pillow balls can fall out, so be careful. Make sure that your bearings are running really nice. I just got done with a bashing session, so it looks pretty dirty there. Okay, so let's take off the parts that are holding this, the shaft here that holds the A-arm in. So we're going to take off these front bolts here. Okay, we're going to pull off this front piece right here, and that kind of releases this bit right here. Now there's a spacer right up here, so we need to make sure we take that off. That goes onto the shaft here. Now there's a pinch bolt here that actually holds this this pivot point in place, so let's go ahead and take that off, or just loosen it actually. And we're going to need to straighten this, because as you can see here, it is really bent here, so I might have a hard time getting this out of here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, it's going to hold the pliers like this. I'm going to grab the shaft here and then pivot itself, grab and pivot, and pull this guy through here. It looks like it's coming through, so that's awesome. Okay, so you can see the bends in this. We need to just hammer this straight, so I'm going to take this over to the anvil, just hammer it flat. Okay guys, it is a very good idea to clean as you go here, so I'm just going to spray this out with a little bit of air. Okay, so here we have the broken arm, and here we have the new arm. As you can see, it just broke right there. So let's go ahead and get this in place, and it looks like there's a retention screw here that I need to remove. Okay guys, so what we need to do here, I'm going to go ahead and take off this body so it just makes it a little easier for you guys to see. Oh my god, look at all the dirt that's inside of there. I'm going to have to clean this up later, hang on. Oh my god. Wow, that's dirty. Ah, not dirty anymore. Oh, and it looks like, let's see here. Okay, it looks like my steering horn, there's a steering piece that is broken here. So once I get this A-arm replaced, I'm going to need to replace this little steering piece here, right where the A-arm or the control rod actually attaches to the steering there. So this repair will not be 100% complete. Just going to place the spacer right on top of this, and this we'll get that flush there so we can pop this right on like that. Yay, we'll push this rod through now. There we go. And I went a little bit too far. Not a big deal, I'm just going to push it back through, and we shall tighten this pinch bolt, which is going to keep that little bit in place here. Okay, so you want to make sure that these pieces are relatively free as far as being able to float up and down here. Let's go ahead and put on the end of our A-arm. And get our 5mm, and we'll get these started. These are cut at an angle, so you really do have to kind of lay them into the threads first before you start screwing them in. It's easy to get these cross-threaded. Okay, so those are both tight, so I'm going to start backing these off to make sure that we have suspension articulation and everything can turn. There's not too much play. I'm going to back this one off just a tiny bit. The Hobbyking Rattler is done for right now. Let's see here. Let's make sure that this is floating free, and it is. So I'm going to toss this aside. And look, there's the piece that was broken. So we'll need to replace that. Let's move the Hobbyking Desert Fox over. Let's go ahead and pull off the wheel here. We'll see what the difference is in repair here. If it's any harder or less hard, just put this aside here. Alright, so we'll take off this lower shock mount. One thing I like about the Hobbyking Desert Fox is that the front CV joints are actually CVDs instead of just dog bones. The dog bones have a tendency to get lost from time to time, so that's why I prefer the straight CVDs. So, okay, so we have taken off the shock here. And it looks like we just need to pull off this shaft here. I actually forgot how I did this last time. Let's see here. That looks like a 2mm, so let's just go ahead and pull this off here. That's one of those 2mm shaft stoppers that keeps the shaft from coming out. So I'm going to push this through this direction, grab it with our wire cutters, pull it through. There we go. We have the part off. And there are 3 bolts right here, which are going to take off this little end cap, and then we can take off the pieces that we need to remove, which are going to be this little guy here. Now, I normally don't take off these screws this fast. I normally go at this right here, because as the screws heat up when they're going through plastic, they definitely tend to heat up, and it can melt the plastic that it's coming out of. So I'm just yanking this guy off here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I just pulled this little piece right here. It's going to remove this arm here. So this is the hardened piece that is inside of here, and it is slightly bent, so I'm going to go ahead and unbend this guy here. Okay, so let's get the new arm. There is a limiter, travel limiter that goes into here, which should be in here, and it is. So let's pull the 2mm out of here, and we'll put it in. So it's like a little grub screw. It helps to limit the amount of travel that you have going on here. Okay, now we can put this back through. There we go. And now I'll just put the 3 screws back in, the short one first. Should seat everything. And then the 2 long ones on the outside here. Alright guys, so all we need to do is replace the pin that the CVD here, or the C-hub carrier, is pivoting against. What you want to do when you're doing this is make sure that you get the CVD into the main differential here. There we go. Nice. Okay, so there was a little retainer screw that holds that. So this is right here. Real easy one to self-tap in there. Okay, so it looks like we are almost done here. I believe that this was the screw for the shock. This one tiny screw. Okay, so pretty easy repair for the Desert Fox here. Not so much for the Rattler. I had much more damage, although I did hit the thing pretty darn good. All right, so let's get this bumper back on, and we are good to go. GTG. This little plate here is bent here a little bit. I'm just going to bend this down. It's aluminum chassis, so it's easy to do. Good to go. Let's see here. Well, okay guys, so we have both cars back together. So here's the broken part here and here, broken A-arms. Like I said, these are inexpensive. Make sure you buy some of those when you check out, or check the availability before you actually order your car. So I have just one last thing to do, which is going to be to bend this shock shaft straight. I'm going to do it the same exact way that I bent these pins over here straight. It's going to disassemble everything and bend that. So, what do you guys think? Pretty easy to repair these arms. I think for one of them, it's like 2 for $1.50. The other one's like $1.50 a piece. Really inexpensive things to do as far as preventive maintenance goes. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this little, just to follow along. I don't know if it's really a tutorial or not, but that's how it went for me. It took me about 20 minutes or so to do 2 cars. Pretty easy, and I am going to order the steering parts that I need for this guy here. So anyway guys, thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.